The story I have to tell today is entitled The Black Bible Bicycle. My parents took a family photo of us back in 1958 when I was in grade 4. Here's a picture of my dad and mom, myself and my sister standing in front of our brand new 1958 Chevrolet that my dad was so proud of. And it was about that same time that my parents had purchased a brand new bicycle for me. And that bike was my pride and joy. I remember thinking, boy, now the girls will think I'm cool. One of the reasons they purchased this bike for me was because I had recently gotten a newspaper route delivering the Winnipeg Tribune to a number of homes in town. Back then, there were two daily newspapers that came to Steenan, the Winnipeg Free Press, which is of course still running today, and the Winnipeg Tribune. See here a picture of the Tribune a number of years ago that I Googled. And even further back, here's another one, the Winnipeg Evening Tribune. The date on that, you can't see it, I'll blow it up. It says Friday, October the 11th, 1918. Look at the headlines. Flu ban becomes effective at once. One more death, 18 new cases reported in the city. And you'll notice below there are several stories. There you see on the one side, on the left side, Huns sink 3 ships. And on the other side, Allies push onward. That was, of course, nearing the end of the First World War. And then right in the middle, Provincial Board of Health determines on immediate action. And it goes on to say, issues proclamation ordering all public meetings to be closed forthwith. No cause for alarm. And the story below, and I've expanded it there, because of the rapidity with which the Spanish influenza has spread in Winnipeg within the last 24 hours, the Provincial Board of Health decided today to prohibit at once all public meetings. Well, that sounds an awful lot like what's going on today, does it not? Well, unfortunately, the Winnipeg Tribune folded August 27th, 1980. But for a couple of years, I rode that bike all over town, delivering newspapers 6 days a week. Here's a view of the village of Steenan from the grain elevator, looking first to the east and then to the west back in the 1960s. And I rode all over town delivering that newspaper. Well, about that same time, a bumper sticker arrived in the mail from Back to the Bible. Now, my mom was a fond listener to the program, the Back to the Bible broadcast. My parents supported it financially, and so one day in the mail came a bumper sticker that looked something like this. Instead of putting it on my dad's 1958 Chevrolet, I remember thinking, you know, that bumper sticker will look really good on my rear fender. And that's what I did. I took that Back to the Bible sticker and I put it on the back of fender of my bike. And I thought that was a great idea until I took it to school the next day. At lunch hour, one of the guys came by and he noticed the bumper sticker, and a very loud, laughing voice said, so all the other kids could hear, "Black Bible?" Henry reads a Black Bible. And all the other kids joined in and laughing. I remember thinking, oh, I am so embarrassed. I wish I could die. I remember thinking also, you know, that kid can't even read. It says Back to the Bible, not Black Bible. Anyways, it got me thinking, why does it bother me so much when other kids laugh at me because of my faith? Why am I so concerned as to what others think of me? And this was a battle that I faced throughout all my childhood, in my teen years, and even beyond. This sense of shame and embarrassment, especially as it related to my Christian faith. I remember my mom and dad being very aggressive in their witnessing to their family and friends and telling them about Jesus. And I remember I'd be listening, and I remember thinking, oh, how I wish they wouldn't talk about God to other people, because these other people were very upset, not happy to hear about God at all. And it was so embarrassing to me. Well, even when I got to Bible college, that's something I struggled with. Back in the summer of 1968, I worked for Child Evangelism Fellowship. I spent the summer teaching 5-day clubs across villages and communities in Saskatchewan. And I remember being in Wadena. We had a 5-day club where I taught for an hour outdoors, gathered a group of kids and taught them about Jesus. And as I was teaching these children, all of a sudden I heard a car pull up behind me and two guys get out and stand behind me. And I was just finishing my lesson, and as I was teaching, I remember that sense of almost sheer panic come across me, because I was asking myself, I wonder what they're thinking of me as I'm teaching this religious class. Well, actually, I later found out that it was two young Christian boys who had come to pick up their sister from the club, and they were actually quite pleased to see me and to talk to me. Well, even after I became a pastor, I continued struggling with this. It was actually kind of a roller coaster experience for me. For example, if I preached a good sermon and the people gave me compliments, the buttons off my shirt would be popping and I would be just so feeling worthwhile. But if, on the other hand, my message was not that good, I remember the feelings of worthlessness just compounding upon me, especially if the feedback was negative. Well, I wish I knew back then what I later learned about peer pressure. It was in 1980, while working on my master's degree, I took a course in Christian counseling from Dr. Larry Crabb, and I'll never forget him making a statement in which he said this, that we typically use the evaluations of others to determine our worth as persons. I remember thinking, this is a revolutionary concept. And it was then that I realized why my life had had the tendency to be like a yo-yo. Because when other people liked me, I felt great. I felt worthwhile. But if they rejected me, I felt awful. I felt worthless inside of me. But Dr. Larry Crabb went on to say that the Bible teaches us that our worth comes not from the evaluations of others, but from Christ himself. I thought, that means I don't need the positive evaluations of others to feel a true sense of personal worth. That my worth comes from God and from being a child of God. And then I began to read it all over the Bible. Proverbs 29:25. The fear of man brings a snare. It trips you up when you're concerned what people think of you. But whoever trusts in the Lord shall be saved. And I thought, that's true. Then 1 John 3:1. How great is the love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called the children of God. And that is what we are. And to realize I'm a child of God, that's what makes me worthwhile. Not what people think about me, it's what God says. And because of that, I was set free. As Jesus promised, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And from that point on to this very day, I no longer really concern myself with what people think of me. I still want them to like me for sure. But if they don't, that's not my problem. That's theirs. I get my sense of worth from my relationship with God. I'm a child of God. That makes me worthwhile. I can really identify with the way Eugene Peterson has paraphrased Philippians 3:8-9 in the Message. And he puts it this way. Yes, all the things I once thought were so important are gone from my life. And Paul's statement earlier on had been how he had used the positive achievements in his life. He was a Pharisee, the tribe of Benjamin, and keeping the law and all these things. And he said, compared to the high privilege of knowing Christ Jesus as my master firsthand, everything I once thought I had going for me is insignificant. Dog dung. I dumped it all in the trash so that I can embrace Christ and be embraced by him. And when you're embraced by Christ and you feel the love of God inside of you, you really don't care what others think of you. I trust this helps you as it has helped me.